So Joe Kennedy is a Democratic congressman. You can be forgiven for not knowing that because virtually nobody knows that. I think he barely knows that he's a congressman. And yes, he's one of those Kennedys. He's from the Kennedy family. Well, the Democratic Party leaders would like to try to force him to be popular, so they handpicked him to give the response to Trump's State of the Union. He's the nephew of John F. Kennedy. And by the way, I love this. Take a look at this article that was written by The Hill. Rising Dem Star. Rising Dem Star to bring transgender soldier to Trump's first State of the Union. Yes, I don't hate transgender people. Therefore, I'm a good politician. Yes. This is what the Democrats do, man. That's such a low bar. They'll make the argument, hey, we don't hate immigrants. We don't hate black people. We don't hate gay people. We don't hate transgender people. Sure, we'll maybe cut taxes for the rich a little bit, and we'll let the military-industrial complex get away with whatever they want to get away with. But we don't hate minorities, so we're the respectable party in America. Yes. So Donald Trump, remember, he announced this on Twitter because he's a fucking jackass. There will be no more trans people in the military. The military's not for social experiments. Sad. So this is what we call virtue signaling in response to that. This is Joe Kennedy going, well, oh yeah? Well, I'm not in favor of banning all transgender people from the military. Oh, what fucking hero. What a fucking hero you are. So in other words, your position is duh. Fucking duh. Congratulations, Joe. Again, virtue signaling is what this is. I brought a trans person with me. Obviously, I love trans people. Look, a trans person. I love trans people. Vote for me. Vote for me. Do you like me? Do you like me? That's what they're doing here. But again, the rising Dem Star thing, I think that's under my skin more than any of that. Why? Says who? Who said he's a Democratic rising star? Listen, not to toot my own horn here, but I think I'm in tune with, the left-wing base since I have probably the second most popular left-wing base show that there is. So, you know how many people I've heard ever say to me fucking something about Joe Kennedy? Zero. Donut. Zilch. Nada. Nothing. Nothing. No, nobody says that. Nobody say, hey man, did you see that thing, Joe Kennedy? Because he doesn't even fucking do anything. I think he co-sponsored 3 bills, and one of them was a fucking commemoration of John F. Kennedy. What the fuck? What's wrong with these people? What's wrong with these people? What's wrong with these? Rising Dem Star says who? Says you. Says corporate media, and says the Democratic leadership. All Nancy Pelosi has to do is say that to her sources in the media, and they're like, Rising Dem Star! Rising Dem Star! Just because she says it doesn't mean it's true. You're the media. Your job is to fact-check politicians, not to be their fucking stenographers. Such bullshit. Rising Dem Star. Rising Dem Star. Nobody fucking knows who he is. Nobody cares. And he's a Kennedy. He has a handicapped advantage because his last name is fucking Kennedy, and still nobody on the populist left base gives a fuck about him. People are like, Joe Kennedy? What? Who are we talking about here? Joe Kennedy. Is that the fucking guy who did the movie where he's like the rap star, but he's the white guy? Oh, no, it's fucking Jamie Kennedy. Who the fuck's Joe Kennedy? Who's Joe Kennedy? Joe Kennedy. Fucking Joe Kennedy. What? Joe Kennedy. You know who a rising Dem Star is? Ro Khanna. That's a rising Dem Star. Why? Because he's putting in the work, bitch. That's why. Because he's out there every day talking about the policies that matter. More importantly than that, he is proposing and co-sponsoring bills on the policies that matter. Ro Khanna is the rising star because he actually cares about a living wage and Medicare for all and free college and ending the wars. He's one of the few voices in the Democratic Party that's like, what the fuck are we doing in Syria? Why are we in Syria? We didn't even vote on this. This is crazy. Let's get the fuck out of there. What are we doing? That's a rising Dem Star. A year and a half ago, nobody knew who the fuck Ro Khanna was. Now virtually everybody on the populist left knows who he is. That's a rising Dem Star. You could actually track these things, you know. What does rising star means? Oh, well, more people are getting to know him and more people are getting to like him. You know how many people knew Joe Kennedy a year ago? The same number of people that know him now, and it's not that many. Ro Khanna went from very few people knowing him to now virtually everybody knows him. God, it's so frustrating. Top-down bullshit. Democratic leadership driving the ship. Let's give them a Kennedy. They'll like it. I saw a great tweet. I forgot who said it, but they argued, if the Clintons and the Kennedys just had babies, then nobody would have, the Democrats wouldn't even need to struggle to pick which establishment candidate they'd get behind. I'm obviously being more wordy with it. It was more pithy and to the point. But yeah, if you had a Kennedy and a Clinton make babies, they just go, up, emperor, king, philosopher, overlord. That's our president. That's our president already. We don't even need an election. Worship the baby. Did the baby just shit itself? Oh, it's gold shit. We love it. So, now, this might be, some of you might be annoyed with me. You're like, okay, Kyle, but what are his policies? Let's talk about that. So, first of all, he's swimming in corporate PAC money. Strike one, you're out. Not interested in the rest of it. Not interested. Not interested. You take corporate PAC money, but you're rising Dem star. My ass cheeks. The first thing on the litmus test is, oh, are you corrupt or are you not corrupt? He's like, yes, I am corrupt. But can I also be a rising star, please? No. Takes corporate PAC money. Get this. He also recently campaigned against legalizing marijuana in Massachusetts. They had a ballot initiative. Hey, should we legalize recreational marijuana? He campaigned against it. What? Dude, 72% of the Democratic Party says we want legal marijuana. He's a Democratic rising star who said, hey, fuck you if you're 72% of my party. Rising star, my ass cheeks. Rising star. Does a rising star say fuck off to 72% of the base? And put that aside, 60% of the American people want to legalize marijuana. The overwhelming majority of the American people do. I don't care. I'm going to campaign against it. Why are you campaigning against it? Stuff, things. Well, maybe it's because you take money from Big Pharma. Oh, maybe that has something to do with it. By the way, here's another great tweet here. I like how Beth changed her handle to Joe Kennedy Disrespecter after this tweet of hers blew up. But it says, Joseph Kennedy III received $181,000 in donations from pharma in 2016 alone. Look at that. More than 4 times the average House member in either party. Still haven't heard him come out in favor of Medicare for all. So there's another one. 80% of the Democratic Party wants Medicare for all. 80%. 80%. Every other modern nation has one version or another of single payer. 60% of the American people want Medicare for all. Rising Dem star, Joe Kennedy, no. And while I'm at it, here, give me the money. Let me swim in it. Let me swim in the corporate PAC money, the big pharma money, for-profit health insurance company money. And you wonder why the Democrats lose. This is why. You stop trying to force these politicians on us. It ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. We know who we like. We know who the future is. We know it's Ro Khanna. We know it's Tulsi Gabbard. We know it's that wing of the party. And if you're not down with that, you're not the fucking boss of us. This is a democracy. We tell you who we like, who we want to lead the party and lead the country. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer can take their center-right corporatist bullshit and they're lying and go for a long walk off a short pier. I also can't wait for how awkward his response is going to be. Oh, it is going to be awkward. Remember the last one? It was Steve Beshear or something like that? I think it was Steve Beshear. And he just awkwardly sat there and he's a center-right, responsible kind of Democrat. He was in what looked like a haunted diner. I saw somebody tweet about it. It looked like a haunted diner where he was giving his response. And he just awkwardly sat there and everybody was awkwardly looking at him. And it's the same bullshit. Here's what you're going to hear Joe Kennedy say. We need to stop disrespecting immigrants. We're inclusive. Diversity is good. And we need to come together in the spirit of bipartisanship and compromise and negotiation. And we need to try to make America a better place by respecting other people. That's what they're going to say. That's what he's going to say. Hear me now, quote me later. Hear me now, quote me later. Because that's all they can say. Are you going to hear Joe Kennedy talk about Medicare for all? No. Are you going to hear Joe Kennedy talk about legalizing marijuana? No. Are you going to hear Joe Kennedy talk about a living wage? No. Are you going to hear Joe Kennedy talk about a New Deal? No. Are you going to hear Joe Kennedy talk about free college? No. Because God forbid you actually say something, then we're going to hold you to those policies because that's what we want. And you have no intention of doing them, so you're not even going to say them. You'll just feed us some bullshit platitudes and cliches and hope that your flowery rhetoric is enough to dupe us. It ain't enough to dupe us, son.